We are here. Woohoo!
We are definitely here. Hope everybody's doing well in this beautiful and surprising and slightly unnerving retrograde energy.
Yes, unnerving is a great word. And I am Julie Murphy, and I am here to help you awaken your wealth. And you can find me on juliemurphy.com. And you, my friend?
And I am 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫.
And yes, you are.
Here to expand your consciousness. Wait, no, shit. That's what 𝘾𝙬𝙧 says. Okay, well, you know what I mean. Go to my website, spiritualbodybuilder.com for astrology readings and to join my opportunity community. But right now, we are here to talk about health and wealth, but primarily at the very core, let's talk about the energy going on.
Oh, energy, smenergy. Yeah.
there is
well, can you do us a favor? Because one of the things that you are amazing at, and one of the gifts that I believe that you have, is kind of talking about how the planets align that actually kind of give us energetic direction. And I would love if you could share some of that with our crew tonight as we're trying to help them with their health and their wealth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So we are in very the foundation of the message has been, sort of the same for the last few months, but now it keeps shifting, right? It's like these different perspective shifts that keep dancing with each other. It's like a play, and as they come, you always have to expect the unexpected because the like you try to figure it out and you try to go with it and you think that you're going somewhere and you're learning a lesson, then bam, it's like, what? Nope, you're gonna redirect over here. Let's go over here and learn this. So especially, and for me personally, and I'm sure all you guys can relate to this right now, with Venus retrograde is a special, unique kind of perspective energy. Now I'm going to try to keep this away from being good or bad, because really it's not. It's going to show us what is being effective or ineffective in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And of course, this has to do with our energy towards money and towards relationships, primarily. More like our relationship with ourselves, with relationships, our relationship with money. And especially right now, the very unique thing is this Venus in Gemini square over to Neptune at 20 degrees of Pisces. This square.
It's like a new language.
Yeah, right. So this square is it brings a very mysterious and sort of confusing energy to everything. Okay. Where we can think that we're going one direction, or say some our interactions with someone are going to have some kind of end result, and we're going to anticipate the end result, but Venus retrograde is going to be like, nope, it's going to go over here, and it's going to be like, haha, fooled you. And that fooled you is not going to give you a clear other sign. It's going to be like, well, fuck, am I back at square one now? Like, what the hell is going on? And we don't know. So, but with this, it's really important, okay? Like, this is going to bring up our desires to go back into our compensating sort of energy, right?
No more compensating. I mean, this is what I call it, like, that we negotiate ourselves away. And it's like, no more of that. You have to return to self-love and self-care. There's no doubt.
True, but even just what you were saying earlier before we started, right? Like, this shit goes down and then you just eat like shit for half a day, right? So everyone is going to be tempted to that core of, just wanting to numb it out in a way, because it's just like, fuck. And, and then a big part of that is like, okay, I'm doing this right now, like being conscious about it, but not beating yourself up for it at the same time too. Like, all right, I did this right now. It's because it's not going to have the same like gratifying effect as it would before.
Totally.
Right. So It's more of like a kick in the ass. Like, okay, did that, got the t-shirt. I'm done now. I'm not feeling it. And that attitude, that shift in your response to you falling off for a second is going to actually facilitate the shifting of the energy in the larger scheme of things, in the deeper aspect. Like I was saying yesterday in my energy report, right now it's sort of like we could be shopping in a grocery store, right? And we smell a smell that reminds us of something that when we were a kid, but we can't quite place it, right?
Right. Well, that pulls from our memory, right? Right.
Right. So then we have something. So then we walk by, or we're like standing in line. We hear some people talking about something that sounds vaguely familiar, or another thing that hits a different part of our five senses. And then we go outside and we get in our car and we turn on the radio, and a song comes on that reminds us of something. And then bang,
totally pulls you back. Right.
Right. And then all of a sudden it becomes a completely immersive experience. Like, holy shit! You know, like I got into a car accident when I was 5 years old, and I completely forgot that, you know, that trauma was still sitting inside me. That is the kind of stuff that it's bringing out. So whatever is coming up, it's because we still, you know, the way healing works, it works in a spiral. There's no straight line. So each layer goes deeper and deeper, and it brings up stuff closer and closer to the core. But here's the thing.
Like you're doing this dance, kind of like
exactly.
Yeah.
But but if you think that there's an ending or even a core or a center to it, I mean, there is a core, but the core is not going to be found in this lifetime.
Yeah, well, and there's not really an ending to it, right?
No, there's
like
there's just constant evolution.
Well, and that happens on the money side too, right? I you know, like I watch people do this dance with debt. You know, they dancing and they get in credit card debt, and then they're like, I've been doing so good with my credit card debt, and I'm going, but you didn't fully pay into the IRS taxes, and now you just created debt over here. And even though it's not really a debt, but it's still something that is something from your past that is not allowing you to live in the present moment to create the future that you want to create.
Right.
And so how do we use, this is gonna maybe sound a little weird, but how do we use?
Come on, you're talking to me.
Valid point. How do we use this? I'm after that Billy Joel song, you know, that the Catholic girls start much too late. That's this chick. You know?
Wow.
The Catholic girls start much too late. Oh, no, sorry. I digress.
I love it.
No, but my point is that how do we use these 4 planets in retrograde right now to our advantage in our healing process? Like, so as we're moving through those things and we're going in that cycle, and there's not really this core to hit, but how do we use it to our advantage? Because right now it's pummeling people.
It is, and that's sort of the idea.
Okay? So you're kind of like it's like a what are those things called? The meat.
The meat smasher.
Yeah, I don't remember what they call that, but
I don't know. Yeah, so this is designed to beat the last part of our egoic attachment to our past self out.
So like our mind.
Our mind. This is all about exposing, like, so we are moving into this new earth, right? And we are still in this process of picking teams. So as we move through this vibration that is shifting us up in a higher vibration, we have to say goodbye to the parts of ourselves that are no longer in alignment with that higher version of ourselves, right? So with that, we still have these deeper layers of our ego consciousness that are attached and holding on to a certain extent to things, ideas, beliefs, patterns that we have to let go of. So this Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and Venus retrograde right now is having us, it's basically shoving our face into ourselves, like shoving it into the mirror and be like, you need to fucking look at this. This is your last chance, because I'll tell you what, come November.
Chance for love.
Right? So come November and just look at the synchronicity of this timing along with everything that's going on in the world, right? November is when the last planet goes direct, okay? And November is also the election.
We have to go through this till November.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
It's good to know. It's good to know.
And this is creating,
which means just relax into it and allow the process, because what's not going to happen this time is a quick fix.
No, we are setting the foundation for the rest of our lives right now.
No pressure.
I know, right?
But this is where, and Nam, if I can just like, this is where I am always talking to people about the most important step to take is to picture the dream that you want to create in your life.
100%.
Because what this quarantine is doing for all of us is it's giving us a blank canvas, and it's time to start dreaming again, because we have stopped dreaming. We become doers and checking the boxers, and not many of us are checking the boxers. And there's a joke in there somewhere. But, and we've just stopped living. And I think the beauty of this time right now is that we're sitting in our stuff, but we're actually starting to realize what's really actually truly important to us. And because we're not distracted by all these things inside of our homes.
Exactly.
So we're actually being able to get a clearer picture as to what that is. And your dreams are the thing that is your compelling reason to change your world. Because otherwise, why would we change?
Right. So now here's the thing. With all this stuff going on, that we're seeing a lot right now, a lot of people committing suicide and going down a very dark path, getting on like, anti-anxiety and, antidepressant drugs, numbing stuff out. That's the dark side of this, because this is basically the spirit coming up, and it's overpowering the ego, right? So if we're not connected to spirit, you're going to see the people that are not connected to spirit. Honestly, they're the ones that are walking around with masks on everywhere. But
go ahead. Sorry.
Besides that, they're the ones that are literally paralyzed by their fear right now, because they don't feel that higher vibration, that higher calling. They feel like they're in hell and that they need to be saved by someone.
Well, and can I kind of make a bridge here for people? So what you're talking about, where the spirit takes over, another way to say that, that I've tried to explain to people, is that it's what we would know of before is like the midlife crisis. Like that's what happens when people have their midlife crisis.
Right. Like, who am I?
Spirit takes over their ego mind. Absolutely. And what's happening is, it doesn't matter what age you are, it's now happening to all of us, because this world has got to shift. All of our infrastructures need to shift. And we need to understand that most of us have called in this infrastructure change because we've been unhappy with all the old ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And it's just now coming in a fire hose. It's like, like it's all this stuff at one time.
Right.
That's like, it's just a lot.
And if you look back through history, I mean, we usually have a period like this every 20 to 30 years. But I believe this one is different.
How so?
I believe this one is different because, according to the Law of One, the Book of Ra, we're at the end of multiple cycles, and we're going into multiple cycles as well. But this one in particular is where the Book of Ra talks about the harvest. It's every 25 years there's ending of a cycle, and we're at the end of a 75-year cycle, and that one in particular is where they're harvesting energetically all the dense energies. It's being sucked out of us basically, and we're raising our vibration to this next density to create this next world, this new world. And you can see in all different religions and all different passages, it's been written everywhere, right? But this is basically bring us into this new age of Aquarius, which I believe that we have these entities, these extraterrestrial beings that are influencing this process. And because there's a bigger awakening now, I think in the 60s there was an attempt at this awakening, but it wasn't quite strong enough. Now it's like, bam, in your face. Well,
can I also bring that up? So one of the things that I find super interesting is that if I go from an economic standpoint, back in the day, JFK had actually created this document called the Great Global Financial Reset. God bless you.
Thank you.
And then it was interesting when I read and I look back and say, okay, so this document's been put in place by JFK. It's an actual document that you can follow. And then right around when you're talking about the 60s, Nixon came shortly thereafter, and he tried to get us back to the gold standard. And there's a piece of me that, from my highly educated space, that he tried to get us back to the gold standard, and the powers that be didn't want that to happen. And Nixon was kind of the fall guy for that.
Right.
And so when you're talking about these waves, when I'm getting goosebumps all the way down, so I know that I'm spot on here. And this wave is happening again right now. And even, you know, like I had an uncle who started singing the Age of Aquarius song to me the other day. And if you actually listen to those words to that song, it's actually what we are experiencing right now. But that song was made in the 60s.
Wow. Well,
and yeah, and so I totally agree with you that, like, it's almost as if the seeds were planted, and I'm going, like, from technical financial stuff, from what Nixon was doing, and then the awakening that was happening in the 60s, and now we're sitting here, you know, 50 years later.
Right.
Right? And we're sitting here going, wow, here's a big wallop, right?
Yeah.
And because the shift didn't happen, and now it's happening. So anyone who didn't work on their stuff, who were alive back then,
100%.
You're working on your stuff or you're leaving the planet.
And
I'm watching that happen. I'm watching the people who are getting the diseases. I'm watching the people who are creating financial ruin for themselves. And it's almost like, on some level, you remember our 97% of our response to the external world comes from our amygdala here. It's our subconscious mind, because we operate on two operating systems, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
Right.
And our past is the subconscious mind, and that's how we respond 97% of the time.
Right.
So that's like the ego and all that stuff that we're going to clear out. Otherwise, it will act out in your health or your wealth, which is exactly what you and I are talking about.
Right. And the higher the vibration, that dense energy can't live there. So this is like a collective Kundalini awakening. That Kundalini energy is going through us. It's exposing, or it's breaking through all these blockages. And that blockage, when it breaks through, it brings it up through our five senses in our mind. And if our fear is too great, it's gonna bump up against it. And if that resistance is too much, then the body collapses. And that's what happens. It's like an energetic atomic bomb in our consciousness. And then the fear is so great, then you contract a dis-ease, or you decide to off yourself. One or the other.
Well, and so, because everything is vibration.
Yes.
Right? Our money is vibration. Our health is vibration. And I have learned in doing some of the energy work that I've done throughout the years that when you raise your vibration, you have to physically leave your system. Like, as I've been doing that from a health perspective, and as I've been healing over the last couple of years from a lot of what I was choosing to participate in my life at that time, that, like, literally the pounds are just shedding off.
That's beautiful.
And it's really quite amazing. I mean, I have about, 35 more pounds, and then I'm going to be at my ideal place, but I'm down like 70. Like, it's like
70 pounds?
Well, okay, not
70 pounds.
There was like 30 like a year before I met you, and then, then since we've been working together, it's been another 30. So it's like, cool. But we have to understand that on a cellular level, we carry and hold on to those things. And so as I'm becoming more in alignment with me and letting what I like to call my freak flag fly.
Yeah, let it fly, baby.
It's time to let the freak flag fly. As I do that, then I don't need the protection as much, protecting me from the things, because I don't really, care or decide. I don't care where it lands with other people, because I'm okay in my own skin with where it's landing.
Right. I think that's part of this process. As we grow, we stop letting the little shit bother us. These triggers just sort of fade away. Like, for me, it's been like, of course, with my daughter, and just emotionally big with relationships, just like acknowledging my worth and acknowledging what I really want, and not sacrificing myself and allowing myself to, give in to my instant gratification, if you will.
Right. Well, and it's not easy, because sometimes I don't even think before this quarantine, a lot of us really knew what that was.
No, I agree. This has brought shit up. But you know what's funny? Since we've been doing the work, we've already, like, we've been in that place zoned in so much that this happens like, oh, okay, everything else backs off, and now it's just, we got to face this. We've already done it. It's like, it was here. It's like, now it's out in the world to the collective consciousness. So now, now we're seeing what was in here. This heaviness, this density is out there. And it's like, okay, well, now I feel like lighter, and let's fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And now we can go help other people, because that's what they need, and that's what we're here to do, and step into that fucking power.
Well, and one of the things since everything is energy and everything is connected, and we are connected to everybody else, this whole concept of oneness, well, we have to understand that when we individually vibrationally shift something in our lives, then what's happening is you're actually shifting it for the collective, and then more people are being given a platform that's easier to shift, because more of us are shifting into the new higher energy. Yeah. So, for example, I know that one of the biggest things that I have shifted in my life is being empowered in relationships and personal relationships. Yeah. And when I actually stood into my power and stood up for what was true for me, which actually had nothing to do with him, it was me stepping into my power.
Right.
And once I did that, it's like I opened it up for the collective, for more women to do that. And I was explaining to somebody today that it was interesting. Ever since then, I have had droves of women coming to me, not knowing how to change their circumstances, but that they wanted to, and they knew I knew the pathway. Yeah. And it was just like they got through it in half the time that I got through it, because vibrationally, the path has already been opened up. And I'm not the only one opening it up. No different than the work that I do on the financial front. I'm not the only one doing holistic wealth management, you know? And the more people are doing it, the more it's shifting, because we are all intertwined energetically.
100%. Absolutely. So, so as this stuff comes up, we're going to have our difficult days, and we're going to have our clarifying and enlightening days. But especially with Venus retrograde, the trick with that energy is that it sort of puts on rose-colored glasses in your mind, right? So, like, I know, like recently I've been thinking, like, maybe I should move out of the country, or maybe I should, go, like, just do some real, like, make some kind of big change in my life. And, and then I sit back, I'm like, wait, man, probably not a good idea. But it's because I'm aware. Like, so thinking back, think back to May to August of 2012. Okay. Do you remember where you were, what you were doing at that time?
Well, I only had 2 children versus 4.
Okay. But what patterns were you in, or were you learning in regards to significant relationships?
That was actually probably the step when I was first starting to step into my power in relationships.
Interesting. And the story that you just told me before we got on here, I have a feeling that has something to do with back then.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Because I was setting the stage for what has been created as of today.
Right. So for me, is this Venus retrograde right now is in the same position that it was from May to August of 2012. So it's going to be bringing up, it's sort of like the universe is bringing it back and testing us, seeing it's going to be a different scenario, like the details, but the same behavior pattern can apply, right? So for example, what I did, and I didn't realize this until I actually did like the math in my head, and I realized I correlated everything. Back in May 2012, I was competing in bodybuilding, right? I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and I met this chick that lived in California. She was into bodybuilding, and she was like she was super connected in the bodybuilding world, right? And I was obsessed with bodybuilding when I was doing it. I mean, I was completely obsessed. So she convinced me to move from Phoenix to San Jose, California. So in May, literally in May, because we competed in 3 shows in June and July, right? So in May, I moved up there, and I lasted there for 4 months, literally until August. And it was a fucking disaster. Like, after we competed, we came to realize, because we were both in contest prep during the process, we realized like, wow, we have nothing in common except competing in bodybuilding. And we fucking shit just went really bad. And then I ended up, I had a bike, like a rice rocket at the time. And I got hit by a car and I fractured my right wrist. And I remember she came to pick me up, like after I blacked out on the floor. My wrist was like the size of like a grapefruit. It was huge.
Ouch.
And I called her, like I was still dazed and confused, and she picks me up and she was getting ready for a show. And she's like, "What the fuck? You're interrupting all my meals, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, dude, just drop me off at the hospital. And at that point I decided, okay, I'm out. And that's when I moved back to Vegas. With nothing. I literally, like, my bike was totaled. I just grabbed a U-Haul, put all my shit in the U-Haul, and I drove. And I lived on my friend's living room floor for 2 months until I got my shit back. Right. So I made this impulsive decision, like, oh my God, this is gonna change everything, and she's gonna connect. She's gonna have me become a pro and connect me to all these like big name people, and I'm gonna.
Can I point something out that I think is important for people to hear? Is that you made a decision for something that was outside of yourself, not something that was internally guided. And I think that's the biggest difference, 100%. Right? And we are so used to making all these decisions of everything because of what's outside of ourselves, as opposed to our inner directive.
Right.
And I get that all the time. People tell me like, what am I supposed to do with my investments? And I'm like, well, what do you want to do with your investments? And they're like, well, I want to do the most efficient thing. I'm like, well, the most efficient thing for me is not the same that's most efficient for you. So what are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want to attach it to? What do you want to align it with? What are your intentions? Because I always believe that your money should fund the intentions you have for your life.
Right.
And when I ask people why they have the accounts that they have no connection to it whatsoever. They're like, it's because what somebody sold me.
Yes, true. But also right now with this Venus-Neptune square, you're not going to be clear on those intentions either. Those intentions,
and we need to be okay with that on some level.
Exactly. That's the point. The idea here is to be okay with not knowing, but staying to what feels right. What up, Dan? Staying to what feels right.
What up?
And following that in the present moment, not going too far in the future, because we're gonna have dreams too. This is a very like lucid, dreamy. So if you're having weird dreams, man, write them down. Definitely, like, you know, like, because maybe in a month or two you might have like something that happens that's going to remind you of that dream. And our dreams are speaking to us right now. Okay. But it's not, but that doesn't suggest that you need to act on anything right now. It actually suggests that you need to sit with it in the present moment and learn to be okay in this place that is not clear. Because if you attempt to try to figure it out, especially like you said, going outside of yourself, that is where you're going to regret something.
Gotcha. And so I'm just kind of looking, I'm just connecting here, seeing if anyone has any questions or anything. I'm just checking our news feed. So please send us questions. Like, we could sit here and obviously chat about things all day long, but we want to make sure that so we have, hold on, let me read this one. Deanne says that that was when I first started realizing that my husband was no good for my spiritual well-being, but I didn't let go, and wow, what a mistake. Now I know it's been a year and we've talked and I feel so much better. And so I think that's a really great comment. Thanks for sharing that, Deanne, because I think so many of us don't realize that sometimes it's just about increasing the communication.
100%.
You know, and having the courage to say things, because we're all, you know, there's somebody that I know that calls it, you know, when you're not speaking your voice, it's like autism of the throat. And it's like, no, you need to speak. Like, don't shut it down.
Right.
And because that's just going to create disease in your throat area. And when you're not moving the energy that needs to move. And don't worry about, you don't have to, like, you know, sometimes you just have to say, you know, I know this is not going to come out perfect, but I need to just say it. You know?
Exactly.
And so it's super, super, super. And you know what, Deanne's now saying that, you know, that, so it's time to file for a divorce. And you know what? And it's okay. You know, I think one of the biggest things for me in that time period was, you know, I kept saying, like, why couldn't I pull the trigger and file for divorce? And one of my coaches said to me, because Julie doesn't fail at anything.
Mm.
And I just sobbed because I don't fail at anything. Julie crosses the finish line on everything. But my subconscious was wiring that in as it was a failure, but I did everything that I tried to do. And it just, it just was what it was, and call it a day. And
that's sometimes all you can do.
Right.
And so I have some here from Leslie and Kelly. Leslie says, the person I was with in May 2012 has come back into my life. So that's happening a lot right now.
We see those patterns, don't we?
Right. So I want to be clear here. If people are coming back in your life, especially if it's from that period of time, it'll be a trip. Watch me get off this live, and the chick that I was dating in 2012 calls me. Hey. That means that there's a lesson, a part of that process that you still haven't fully enveloped yet. Okay.
Yeah, it only comes back if there's something left to.
It only comes back if there's something left undone. This is karma that you have to clear up. So just remember that whatever you decide to do, you can go into it or go with what feels right. But just remember that there's a lesson to learn here, and that's it. And then Kelly said, May 2012, I stopped producing income for myself and decided to work literally for free to build a company with my husband that ultimately led to the death of my identity. And, so that's a huge lesson, I think, in self-worth and self-confidence, especially with money and identity, with that, financial consciousness.
Right. And I also think it's really important to not have this preemptive thought of, when you find your voice or when you step into that, of what the outcome is going to be. It may be that, for example, me finally admitting that, okay, this is about me feeling like I failed, but who knows where it's going to go? You don't know if your situation is going to end in a divorce or end in financial ruin or your health being crapped out on some reason. We have to realize that our minds create these stories.
Exactly.
And we need to really let go of any kind of story of what you think the outcome might be, because when you're doing that, you're not in present moment awareness.
Exactly. But, maybe this is getting us to look at our relationship to failure. Because you can look at failure as stepping stones and learn lessons on your way to success. Success is basically, a trail of, a set amount of failures that you learn from. Right.
Yep.
There's no such thing as no failure. So maybe it's the fear of failure, which is basically the same thing as fear of success, just its polar opposite. Right. So
it's all fear.
This is the deep shit that we're facing right now. And even right now, Mercury is 𝑠EQUadrate over to Pluto and Jupiter. So 𝑠EQUadrate is a past life aspect, but it's difficult and it's very insidious. So that's and Mercury is about communication, right? And it's in its home sign, so it's very powerful there. So this is two very, very intense, deep energies. What's up, Crystal? So these two very deep, intense energies are having us look way, way deep down at the core of ourselves and seeing our behavior patterns as to what are we afraid of? Why aren't we we're gonna be getting these nudges, why am I not going into this business opportunity? Or why am I getting all weird or freaked out or skeezed out when I get close to this person or go into this situation? Or why am I getting these weird nuances of remembrance from the past? But when we get these, they're going to be almost we feel it, but we can't quite place it. And the way that we end up getting clarity on that is by silencing our mind and letting it be okay, just letting it go. Okay, well, if the universe wants me to know exactly what that is, then I'll get it when the time is right. And that will also increase your faith in the universe as well.
Well, and I think it's important for people to know that there's different words that people use. It could be the universe. You could find it through prayer or through meditation or through universe or law of attraction. Honestly, I really think it's semantics and it's all the same stuff. You know, and so we have to watch where we judge and filter and then create stories about it all, because it's really about
those stories.
Yeah, it's about stepping into and trusting and allowing life to unfold. And and so much of this has to do with trust. I mean, it's amazing to me when I walk outside right now without masks on with my kids, how many glares I'm getting in Chicago. And I am like sitting here going, you know what? I understand the human body enough to understand that, you know what? It's okay to build your own immune system.
Fuck yeah.
And we're doing all of the right practical things, you know, and we're not renegades. That's not even how I'm wired on so many levels, but it's just really like, we have to watch, like, how are we letting the fears lead into our stories, and then the stories leading into then how we're acting out. And so much, I don't know about you, but so much of what I'm witnessing today is that people being in reactivity, you know,
that's going on everywhere.
And it's really time for us to step out of that. You know, if you're being reactive to what's going on in the stock market, well, then you're going to lose thousands of dollars, because you have to align your money with what your goals are, and not align it to where, like, well, what should I be doing, and what are the analysts doing, and what are the blah 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 blah.
Right, and that's exactly how this energy is working right now. It's allowing us, it's giving us the opportunity and the ability to actually be the conscious observer at a much deeper level. That's what a retrograde energy essentially is, right? So when a planet's direct, it's more like we're more forward focused. We're more like, yeah, we feel this energy almost like a tractor beam pulling us into the future, right? Yeah. Whereas retrograde energy, we're sitting still, but it's these energies we're able to observe internally more efficiently. Now, sometimes that can be great. Sometimes that can be not so great. Yeah. Like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that whole thing that I didn't deal with over there that is just sitting there.
But again, being reactive to it is not the answer of how you're moving forward in it. It's about, like, the more you can stay in the state of being the observer and not in reactive mode, you will, if you're the observer of it all, then you're actually in present moment awareness. If you're in reactive mode, you're going to either anxiety about the future or depression about your past.
And let that freak flag fly, baby.
Whoop, whoop.
Hell yeah.
I am all about letting your freak flag fly, because we have to be authentic. It is time to get to a place of authenticity.
100%. And that requires full acceptance.
The world needs you to be authentic. The world needs you to bring the gifts that you are given, to share them with the world, and stop playing small and stop conforming to all the baloney around you. And it's like, come on, people. Like, I have found I've had more conversations since this whole thing started with people where they call me up and they're like, Jewel, I just can't live the way that I'm living. And we're calling you because we know you'll just give us permission to go do what we want. I'm like, well, you don't need my permission per se.
Right.
You know, but so many people just want, like, the blessing that financially you're going to be okay. Yeah. And here's the thing. You're always going to be okay. Because when you align with your heart and your soul, everything is provided. Everything. And more money comes. I have seen that happen so often. And Cheryl says here, she's felt the same way. I don't fail. I don't quit. But the behaviors of the kid's father made me realize I wasn't the person I used to be or was supposed to be. Divorce was no longer a choice. My kids deserved me to be at my best. I had to be my authentic self. Well said, Cheryl. Well said. And I love you dearly, Cheryl. She's been a client of mine for, oh my God, her twins were just born, and they're now like 25 years old.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. and it's so true. It's like, we have to realize that it comes back to self-love and self-care. And that's like, we were just talking about how I'm going to be getting a treadmill and an elliptical machine for in my house, because I've got this 35 more pounds to go and I'm getting it off.
Yes,
and I know I can have that done in the next 60 days.
So you know what?
And it's gonna happen.
So a funny thing with me is that, like I dedicated myself to running every morning when I get up, to get blood flow and everything. Well, I decided like 4 days ago to pick it up a notch and go run up a small mountain. And the next morning,
that's what most of us do every morning.
Okay, well, the next morning I woke up and I went to put my feet on the ground and I could not put any pressure on my left foot. So now I'm limping around.
That's your divine feminine energy on the left side there, brother.
Yeah, right. But it's forcing me to sit back and chill out instead of trying to push myself.
Because the push is the masculine. The being
and I like to push. So now I'm hobbling around and I can't do anything about it. Oh, other than stretch and get it checked out. But I'm literally sitting with an ice pack on my foot right now.
So can we go into that? Like, so we get these little signs from the universe. We're talking about energy, right? So it's like shifting from the energy of survival mode to the energy of thriving. So you could sit here and you could be a total victim, be like, blah, blah, blah. I am blah, 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 blah. You could be a little bitch. No, just kidding. Did I say that out loud?
You did.
I did. No, but you could sit there, and any of us could do that, right? Any of us could do that. And but it's like, it's about asking, going, show me the guidance as to what this piece is all about.
Yeah.
And when you sit in that state of being the observer and you're allowing and you're receiving, which is the divine feminine way of operating the world, which, just to remind everybody, we all have divine masculine and we all have divine feminine.
Right.
And from a Eastern philosophy perspective, when you've got stuff happening on the left side of your body, that's the divine feminine side, and the right side is the divine masculine. So like, it's also, or think of it like the father and the mother side, right? So this is something getting in alignment on your divine feminine side.
Right. And isn't it interesting too, that so Venus represents the divine feminine, and this should happen literally the same day that Venus went retrograde.
I'm sorry, what was that?
And this happened literally the same day that Venus went retrograde.
So have you gotten any guidance as to what it's about?
No idea. But I'm going to see my wizard chiropractor friend tomorrow, and I'm hoping that he'll help guide me. But I have been going through a lot of awareness and a lot of like awakenings in regards to my relationships with women. So I'm thinking that it has to do with something with that, like creating, stronger emotional boundaries and really stepping into my knowing and power of what I really truly want, and and staying true to that within myself, or being, allowing myself to receive more abundance, receive more support. Maybe like I always try to make shit happen, get shit done, and maybe part of it is not doing that, just allowing things to flow to me.
Well, and I will say that when you are making a shift, so like you said, you're addressing your relationship stuff. I have found when people do that, the physical level is the last place for it all to leave.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so on the physical level, I would bet that there is stuff that's stuffed in that foot of yours that is aligned with the way you were, and by busting it up a little bit, it's actually allowing it to leave. Whatever it is, it's not going to serve you moving forward.
True. Oh, you know what I just thought of too? The last time I did combo, I did my dots down in that area. So
you're moving the energy.
Yeah. Good move.
Can you explain to people what combo is? I call it cambo. Is it cambo or combo?
Cambo, combo, potato, same thing, whatever.
I think people, so from a health perspective, it's a very natural way to detox in a big way. Can you explain that to people?
Combo is also known as the jungle vaccine or nature's vaccine. Okay. It is a secretion from a frog that lives in the Amazon jungle. And it is a secretion, energetically, it does not contain the vibration of fear. Okay, so it is used by indigenous people to clear what they call panema, or bad luck or negative energy. But physiologically, it goes into your lymphatic system and it dramatically boosts up your immune system. and it identifies anything that is not in alignment with your DNA, and it eradicates it basically. So it cleanses all your organs. It will clean out any pathogenic bacteria. It'll cleanse out heavy metals. It activates circulation throughout your entire body. It'll fight off any kind of infection that's going on. It is probably the single most powerful physical detox available. I've seen it do magical things. It is very intense. It is not fun, but it is worth it. And
what is this kind of session? Can you explain to people like what this kind of a session like? It doesn't take a long period of time, so it's not intense for like a whole day.
Yeah. No, it lasts about 30 minutes, but you'll need a couple hours to make sure that you prepare, set intentions. You know, there's a whole ceremonial process that, you know, when you're working with a facilitator, they bring you through the actual physical part of it. When you're going through it is about 30 minutes. And then sometimes you need about an hour to 2 hours to just relax. And it's almost like you just upgraded yourself on your computer. Now you need to shut down and reboot and download everything and like reintegrate everything into your experience, into your consciousness.
Well, and it was really interesting. So I actually had this experience for the first time in January of this year. And one of the individuals that was there actually used to work in the healthcare arena. So they took on a lot of the people that they had worked with, and it was affecting their physical body, because when you're around stuff all the time, you take things on energetically, and then physiologically it starts to, it was really interesting after, you know, going through some of these healing ceremonies with her. The first day she had done it, the stuff that she got rid of from a vomiting perspective was like black, like dark brown. And then the next day she did it, it was like a light brown. And then the next day it was like a normal bile color, like and it was because she was getting rid of all that stuff. For 8 years she worked in a hospital, and the practitioner was telling her that this is her like cleansing all this stuff, because the type of work that she did, she took on other people's stuff. And so, you know, it's just another tool that if it's something that resonates, it's just another tool to detox your system. And there's so many different ways that you can detox your system.
Oh yeah, ton of ways.
I will agree with you that it was one of the most intense things that I have ever done. Also the most cleansing, like in a very short period of time. And I tend to like detoxes that tend to be more natural in ways, as opposed to, you know, like I love the fact that like I agree a lot with Dr. Mark Hyman, where food is medicine. Oh yeah. You know, and things of that nature. And so that this comes from like a tree frog. It's like it's part of our world. It's not like it's exactly, you know, things something that's from nature are the most healing tools in existence. Yeah. Like I think that people start to realize that again. I'm sorry, say that again. I said, I think people are starting to really realize and understand that again with the reemergence of all these natural, you know, alternative medicines, homeopathic things, you know, plant medicines, things like that. Yeah, it's really amazing. I have a funny comment here from Kelly. Okay. What's up, Kelly? All right, so she said, my freak flag needs to retrograde. It's been attracting the wrong energy. I feel like it correlates with a strong masculine energy that needs to just chill for a bit. So here's what I see with that. Okay, that if that freak flag is attracting the wrong kind of energy, it means that there's some part of yourself that is still requesting validation in some kind of way. Yeah. Right. So it's that desire subconsciously, most likely, but for validation, that you have to look within while you're attracting these things, and then, you know, learn every little step of the way. When you come into the situation, you get that feeling like something's not right. Then you just communicate that, and you honor your own heart and your own self in the process. Like, okay, I'm 100% dedicated to my work and myself and my growth, and therefore I'm going to communicate this to you and let go of the outcome. If you don't like it, well, that's your problem. That's not mine. I'm not going to carry that, right? Because then we tend to worry about the, you know, repercussion from speaking our truth when we're in that state. Right. And that's part of the reason why we don't speak up. But that's not our responsibility to carry what they have to deal with, right? So this is about learning to separate those things and not carry other people's stuff.
at the same time standing in your own power and acknowledging, you know, your true wealth of your self-worth and, you know, self-confidence.
Can I also state that for Kelly that being a woman who has a ton of masculine energy, I mean, I'm in finance. I got the pretty face, but I got a lot of masculine energy. And so what I have come to learn is that when I'm really in my masculine energy and I'm really like, it's the push, it's the doing, that I actually need to, that's when I need to actually go wear more feminine clothes. I need to like do more feminine things because we don't naturally know how to, if you are a female that, so our education system told us if we didn't become male in the way that we operate in the world, we weren't rewarded. And one of the things that us women are learning is to actually own what our natural response systems are, but we don't even know how to do that because since the day we were born, we were told that was the wrong way.
Right. Like,
and so if you've got that push and if you're a female, like I've started to notice it going, like, it's amazing to me how sometimes I even feel uncomfortable like wearing a skirt. Like, like it's just kind of like going, because when I was first in finance, I used to wear dresses all the time and skirts. And it was like, what are you going to do for me today, honey? And they'd look me up and down when I'd show up and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to wear pants like everybody else because then they keep their eyes up here and not all over me, you know? And you know, back then that's just what happened. So it was like, it was 25 years ago, but it's like, try to start owning some of your femininity. Like, don't wear your hair in a ponytail all the time. Like, actually do your hair, you know, but do those things for you as opposed to, it's not really about anybody else or taking on anybody else's stuff. It's about really own who you are in the inside.
Right, exactly. And you know, so I as you're talking, there's a lot of people resonating with. I have a lot of people commenting here. So we all have masculine and feminine energy. That's like every human being has. There's just some have more dominant than others, right?
Right.
And so we have to learn how to work with both. For me, of course, like I struggle more with my feminine side, but I'm getting better at it. My masculine is already strong enough. He can already just, you know, hang out there and do his thing. But this is where, like, so what is a divine feminine energy example, right? What would be a good example of like practicing your divine feminine if you're too much in your masculine?
So like from a verbal perspective, like to be in your divine feminine, when somebody comes at you with something, you don't like bark right back. You actually take a step back and you actually go, well, that's interesting. Have you thought about it from this perspective? You know, so you're receiving the comment and you're redirecting to where it's not confrontational, but yet still having your voice.
Yeah, and that's exactly like, that's the exact process that I've learned to use to process triggers.
Right.
If I feel that feeling like, you know, come up like, oh, fuck you, I'm going to teach you. No, just step back and okay, well.
And that's your divine feminine.
Yeah. Okay.
Because where you're just kind of like laying off the throttle and just being like, I could see your perspective. Like I learned that, you know, I've been in sales my whole life. And I learned that, wow, a lot of sales language is divine feminine because it holds a safe space for anybody to regurgitate anything.
Right.
But then you guide and redirect to a place of to still get your point across, but not be offensive to the person.
Yeah.
But
so
the
sort of
key
bouncing around inside you as opposed to like projecting all over the place, like projection vomiting your energy. Ooh, I like that.
Well, and that's reactivity, right? If you find yourself being verbally reactive to everything, well, that just means that you're not responding from your conscious present moment awareness. You're responding from a trauma from your amygdala, from a part of your past. Absolutely. And so it's super important for people to really recognize their reactivity these days because, again, you can't have optimal health or optimal financials if you're in a place of reactivity and shoving everything in everybody's face.
Yeah.
You need that harmonics between the two. Like you can't be a doormat. You can't be completely in your feminine and just be a doormat and just be like, life just happens to me, you know? Because I remember thinking like, oh my God, these chicks that are like this, I just want to like freaking smack them, be like, but I had so much masculine that I was operating from that I was just like not really valuing the feminine. And I've learned that, you know, I just needed to really own the feminine component of myself, and that there's a balance, and that there's good and bad in both sides when it's out of whack.
So true. So true. And that's exactly what, for this next 6 months, it's giving us an opportunity to work on our triggers. And I like to look at it that way because, you know, going through it, it's almost like, this is almost like boot camp for your energy.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're going to be presented with triggers constantly right now until you start to really go into them. The only way out is through, guys. So
that's so true. It's like the birth canal.
Yeah, exactly. We are being for sure. And it's very and this is like the last part of the rebirth until we come into our new existence, which is essentially going to start in December of this year. That's when this
really about just holding a safe space for yourself and those that you love and you care about.
Your heart.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like all the people out there say, I trust no one. Okay, well, I get not trusting.
You don't trust yourself.
Or you don't trust anyone because you don't trust yourself. But you know, reality right now is very. Kelly said, "Thank you for that feminine perspective, Julie."
You're welcome.
Energy is I just totally forgot what I was gonna say. I hate when that happens. What was I gonna say?
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah, whatever. I'm sure if it was really that
mustn't needed to be said.
Yeah, exactly. That's okay.
And you know what? Deanne's talking about that 6 months of triggers. The goddess help me. You know what? We have to understand that our triggers are coming up because they are here to help us. It's our triggers are here to help us heal. And so that we can actually have the life that we desire and get to the place that really is from a place of being whole. You know, like use your whole mind, your whole heart, your whole body. Like this is not about letting anything dominate. It's about getting it harmonic. But you have to be willing to go inside to find that place. And many of us
right now it's not even about willing to go inside. You're in there, motherfucker. You're gonna deal with it. You're gonna look at it. And the universe is saying, like, if you don't look at it, you're gonna be in some shit. Like you're not gonna be able to not look at it right now. That Jupiter Pluto conjunction, like, sorry, ain't moving. You can try to, just gonna come right back. He's not moving, and then eventually you're just gonna have to look, and it's gonna feel shitty, and it's gonna suck. But you know what? You're gonna grow, and you're gonna learn. And
if you don't look, it's gonna get harder.
It will. As long as there's resistance.
Layering.
Yeah.
Because this is a fire hose that is not going to stop until you look at your stuff or you create disease in your body.
Exactly. Those are the two results right now in this period of time. You grow and you ascend, or you get sick and something bad's going to happen. Really, that's how it's going.
I want to stress to everybody tonight that this is about, like, part of what drives me for us to spend the time to do this on the nights that I don't have my kids, to spend the time with everyone at large, is the fact that we do not have to call in a crisis to create the shift.
No.
We can shift without creating financial disaster or health crisis. We do not have to take on either of those crises to actually shift. And it's about, you already have a knowing inside as to what the right answers are. The question is, are you going to shine the light and continue to keep planting those seeds and heal? Let it be seen. Let it be shown. It's okay.
Let it be light.
Well, we have hit our hour, my friend, and just remember, you can come reach me at juliemurphy.com, and I will be doing a giveaway on my book Awaken Your Wealth here in the next month.
Excellent book.
Yes. All I'm gonna ask for is that you pay for your shipping, but you can have the book for free. If you go to juliemurphy.com and just get on my email list, then you'll know when that offer is coming up.
Hell yeah. And you can come check me out at spiritualbodybuilder.com and download my free ebook on my website, get an astrology reading, spiritual health coaching, and join my opportunity community. I love you guys very much. Julie, I love you. Thank you so much for doing this. And tomorrow I'll be live on Instagram and YouTube for my weekly energy report as well.
Awesome sauce. All right, everybody. Have a great week.